Hello and welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Wiegmann. I am pumped up. You know, this is the team, the winning team of the championship. They are back, and the only show they go on that they've been on twice that they enjoy. I'm just kidding. Is my show? No, that's not right. We're with Dan and Hayden Jeffries, and they just got done winning the National Crappie League Championship. And we're lucky enough to have Paul.
Hey,
Alperts is with us, and he's the do-all, the run-all, and in charge of a bunch of stuff. And
kind of felt like that this weekend.
Yeah, he's kind of doing everything. But we'll get to you, Paul. Let's start with the winners. What does it feel like to win this, Hayden?
It means everything to us. We put a lot of time in on the water, a lot of practice, a lot of hours, and anytime you can get up there and come out victorious, it definitely hits home.
And Dan, now you've been in this situation before, and you've pushed Hayden out there, like you've kind of had him be the spokesperson for this. But,
right. Yeah.
But don't you think you're the foundation of this whole beginning thing? You started him out fishing, and you started that.
No, I'd definitely take that credit. You know, getting him started and as a kid, and just staying on the water as much as we could, and that's the best place for anybody to spend time with their kids, and teach them as much as you know about fishing, or like I did him. I mean, we did brim fishing, cat fishing, crappie fishing, bass fishing. Just give him a little taste of everything, and he just kind of grasped this crappie deal and loved it, and the rest was up to him. Just spending the time on the water and putting the time in what it takes to be where he's at right now in this crappie world.
Do you think that's what's separating your team from the other teams, Hayden?
Somewhat, yeah. Yeah, I definitely fell in love with it, and I have a drive that's hard to even explain. I don't know what it was about a crappie, but when I started chasing them and started messing with them, I just fell in love with it, and that's all I wanted to do. Dad gave me the opportunity. He gave me a boat. Had it, somewhat rigged out with the equipment that I needed to learn how to use it. And I actually got sent home from college from COVID, so I had a lot of free time. So I was going to the lake basically 5-6 days a week, just having fun, trying to figure out kind of what all of this stuff was and how to use it. And I think that got me started was, I just had a lot of free time that I was able to put into it, and I started to get pretty good at it, pretty consistent with it. I could go catch fish most days. And then we signed up and started fishing a couple little tournaments here and there, and it blew up.
So, Paul, this team rolls in,
Yep.
and they're not in first place the first
That's
day.
right.
They're not
Nope.
in first place the second day, and they're actually in second place, right?
Yep.
How many pounds back were they?
I think actually you think he was in fourth place the first day, wasn't you?
First
Yeah.
day we were
yeah.
in fourth place.
About a pound out, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Which
And
is a
then-
lot.
And then they brought it back up to about 4 or 5 ounces on the second day, and
Right.
and I thought then boys are in trouble because he's coming, and actually I seen him out there as we was checking in, and I said, man, it's gonna be rough out there today. He said the rougher the better, but it takes a professional angler that can go out there in 3-foot waves, have waves hitting him in the knees. And, of course, we had a spotter in his boat all 3 days.
Right.
And I think Joel Harris got an education. And really, people that's out there listening, a spotter deal ain't so bad. Because when you got guys like Hayden and his dad, I mean, you can learn a lot how to be a better fisherman.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, he said that boat would go down in the waves, the pole would go down out of sight, he'd come back up, and they'd do it 2 or 3 times, and all of a sudden, and he's on there. Well, if my pole went in the water, they'd have to throw a brick on the line for me to decide whether I had a hit or not. I mean, but that's the difference in spending the time. And I actually talked to Hayden here as I was going to Weiss Lake. I don't know, it's been, 2 weeks ago or 3. Had a long talk with him, and I said, you're the best out there. There's no doubt about it. I said, yeah, every once in a while. Well, at Texas, you took second. You didn't win there, but he come back strong. But I said, what drove you? And he said, well, everybody wanted me to become a bass fisherman because the talent he had and touch. But a crappie fisherman, actually, you bass guys, you didn't know it, but could make a heck of a lot better bass fisherman than what most of them are. So because they got the feel for it.
Right.
Crappie fish. Right. But he said, the crappie is so intriguing, and when you have a storm or a front or whatever might happen, they can get lockjaw and not bite for 3 days. So that's what drove him to figuring out just exactly whatever it was, what weather conditions, hot or cold, wind or what, snow or whatever it might be, how to figure out how to get these fish to bite. And he said that's why he wanted, and he said he won't do nothing. I don't want to do nothing else.
Right.
And so, and I'm kind of like that. I did that. My dad taught me whatever I fished for, hunt for, I ate. And so I didn't like to eat bass, so I'm going to fish for them.
Right.
So, but but a lot of us are brought up like that as kids. And, but I take my hat off to him when he brought that stringer of fish, and he did. And Joe went through everything he did to me. I thought, my God, I'm going to go be a spotter in his boat. I guarantee you, I'm going to be out there.
Me too. I want to be the cameraman.
Yeah.
I was in the cameraman with the
JoJo.
With JoJo, and I actually learned some stuff that was there. But how that takes us to the tournament trail. How do you decide what tournament trail? Obviously, you're fishing NCL, right? So I mean. Do you like, I can only fish one tournament, a month, or schedule wise? How do you go about that? Is it your dad or is it you?
No,
Hayden?
it's just.
I mean, you don't get in fruit jar tournaments at home, do you?
The first tournament I ever won was a fruit jar on my home lake.
But you don't fish much of them anymore, do you? Because you're gone?
Maybe
Or
every
do you?
now and then, if I'm home
Yeah.
and free and not busy, I'll jump into a small tournament. I still fish with my state trail. They enjoy me showing up. They love the competition.
Right?
When we first started, we were just fishing our home lake. We would fish a tournament maybe once or twice a year.
Right?
And then we started to do decent in them, so we decided to expand and start traveling the state and fishing with the state trail. Started doing pretty good, was decently competitive, and it just kept growing, and to the point last year we fished basically every tournament we could get our name on the sheet to enter.
I gotcha. And Paul, you actually encourage everyone. You have different divisions.
That's
Tell
what
them a
we're
little
trying
bit.
to do with our trail over here.
Uh-huh.
And hopefully within a year we'll get there. But I was surprised at Grizzly Jignose down there how many people would like to see a trolling division. Well, there's no reason why we can't have a trolling division.
Right.
Like now I'm getting old. I can't think of his name. But anyway, he said he's good with live scope too. But he said, if you had a trolling division, I'd fish 2 or 3 trolling tournaments, and I'd fish 2 or 3 of the others. Then he made the comment, why? And I said, well, why would you do that? Use is who I was talking about. Anyway, he said, because if I go to a lake where the trolling is really good and it's harder for a live scoper, to cover, he said, where do you think I'm going to go? What division I'm going to go to if I'm qualified for both of them?
Yep.
Right.
So it made a lot of sense. But not only that, we got the adult youth, male, female, but guys like Hayden and Beckman and a lot of these guys out here. One day, what I want to see with the crappie fishing, we have to get these guys introduced like Bassmasters does with their anglers. We got to, and a lot of people know Hayden already, and a lot of people, but there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Right.
So what we got to do is get him on the face and Beckman on the face. So somewhere along the line, we got to start some kind of an elite division to where these guys travel around. When they come to town, they're drawing crowds for people to come and see. Mm-hmm. And I think we can get to that, but it's going to have to be work with them, with us, get the right TV, because it's like this. I've fished tournaments since 1984 when they first started. Won the first national championship. Did the Tiger Woods deal, won in 2017 again on Ferguson Lake. But the idea of it is we have to get them in the picture. We got them, get them. These little baseball cards, Hayden. You guys need them. You need to make you a bunch of them up. You know who you are, they're your profile, your family. And when you go to one of these deals, these little youngsters going out like that kid, start handing them out.
There ain't enough room on the back of a baseball card for his stuff.
Well,
it'll have a little asterisk that says,
we want it all.
Yeah.
But we need to push the sport to get more people involved, and that's what we're trying to do out here.
And you have different divisions too. You have a pro division
and a Division One for the working
So
guy.
if you're just getting into it, don't think, hey, I have to go compete against Hayden.
Look here,
or
that's
his
what
dad.
we're doing. We're trying to introduce crappie fishing back like it used to be to anybody that wants to go fish in different levels. And you get a few people say, why you got to have this level? Why you got to have that? Well, it's because in my right mind, you do it for the fun of the sport, But would I pay $500 to fish against this man that I know is going to beat my pants, or Beckman or whoever it might be? Would I do that, or would I try to learn and go pay $300 to fish against a more average fisherman and maybe have a chance to win some money? But one day, and you go back to when there wasn't live scope. Ronnie Captain, Steve Coleman was dominant trollers.
Yep.
I could troll right beside them, and they catch crappie like this, and I catch crappie like that, and I couldn't figure what in the world, But eventually, everybody strives to one day to beat this man, and we got guys out there that are capable of any of them could win. You could put them in a hat and shake them up, and somebody win.
Right.
But the worst part about it is out here is people that get jealous, and and all this stuff, and I've always told them, I said, don't get jealous about somebody winning. Just get your butt out there and learn to get better to beat him. Yeah. And that's my motto on that. So I'm very excited for you. I'm glad you finally got over here and got fishing with us a little bit. And,
so that takes us to the part of is it the electronics? What's really truly separating your team? Is it because you and your dad also work so well together that you've done it so long compared to like some teams? The guys come like JoJo, Clay. They come from two different states, so they don't have that opportunity. Well, you and your dad, do you live in the same house?
Yeah.
Oh, so I mean, you can wake up in the morning and you can but he can say, hey, you know what, this is probably what we need to do.
Right. And we do a lot of studying at home. I'm like, we won a big tournament on Table Rock a couple of years ago, and I bet you for 3 months we were in the living room looking at YouTube videos, looking at articles, looking at just anything we could find to try and figure the lake out before we ever showed up to it.
Yep.
We rolled up there, and I landed on big fish within the first hour of practice.
Wow.
Just from the homework we did at the house before we ever got there.
And so how about here? Winning the championship, what do you think is the one thing that tell us, Dan, what do you think is the one thing that made it for you guys to win this? Because you did win it, and you did have big bass.
Oh, I mean, it could be a number of things that maybe, just us. One thing, when we had a little history on Darbone, and so we, had 3 or 4 areas that we always come over here and we just run those areas, and usually one of them a hit, and so that's kind of what we done on Darbone, and got ourselves in contention, and then for the second day on Caney Lake, Hayden had got to come over and pre-fish one day
practice
for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and figured something out on those blackfish, and we showed up that morning. The first time he'd ever been on the lake. I had never been on the lake, so I was looking forward to it. 'Cause we don't really never get to truly chase blackfish in a tournament, So I was looking real forward to it, and he had me pumped up. He said, "Oh, Dad, this is gonna be crazy here now." Yeah. And he said, "I have no doubt I can put 12, 13 pounds on the scale, with 5 blackfish."
Wow.
And so we showed up, and he pulled up on his starting area there, and within 20 minutes, he was, "Oh man, Dad, what are we gonna do? They're gone."
Yeah.
And, so from then, he said, we just got to go pre-fishing, So that's what we did. Just started, working around, hitting different areas, and finally started getting into some fish, and he just went to work. But it's just that, I'm not going to say in all anglers, but some anglers, showing up to what they had their most confidence in, and it didn't hit, they'd have freaked out, or they'd have stayed there all day hoping they'd show up or whatever. But Hayden, I mean, he's good at being able to adapt to the conditions of whatever's in front of him. And so that second day, we come on up in there and got within ounces of first.
Right.
And then the third day is me and him. He was one that never set eyes on the lake. So
wow.
And
never set eyes on the lake and had 13 pounds. Is that what you had?
14, 26.
It was way up there.
It was 14
wow.
and a quarter.
14,
okay.
So, we kind of got to talking about it, and I asked Hayden, I said, "Well, what kind of maps you got of it?" And he said, "I don't."
There's no lake map that I can find. There's
on
no
there.
articles on the internet that say anything. There's like 2 YouTube videos from 2016 of a guy jig fishing the trees. So there wasn't much information on it. I had heard that there was big fish in it from some of the locals talking. I heard it called Little Grenada, and that kind of got me fired up. I'm good at fishing Grenada, so I told him, I was like, we're just going to roll into it. Let me work. Let me, start running some spots. I'll find some fish at some point. And it took us 4 or 5 spots before we finally landed on them.
Right.
But when we landed, it was pretty special.
Yes, sir. It was
Wow.
something else.
Let's just talk real quick about speed. I don't think people realize how fast you're fishing at times. When I put my drone up there and you were going, you were moving. Like you were moving fast. How do you cover water so fast, but yet able to identify the crappie that you want to catch and your presentation?
Yeah, it all comes back to a tournament that I fished probably 2 years ago. It was a boat flipping tournament. One man, you had a marshal in the back, weigh every fish you caught. It was on Grenada Lake in the middle of the summer. That was the second day I'd ever laid eyes on the lake. I go up there, start fishing. I jump out in the lead. I catch 5 or 6 fish, and then a guy starts, knocking on my doors, catching 3, 4. He was coming at me, so I started fishing faster, trying to, stay ahead of him.
Uh-huh.
And that whole day, I was just increasing my speed, and then I ended up winning the tournament. And I told myself, I'm like, that's the pace I need to fish at. The more fish that I can get on and put my bait in front of, the better chance I have at catching the 7 biggest fish, or this tournament the 5. Or
Hayden, you was telling me, and I asked him, this has been quite a while ago, and I said, what? I said, I know you're using the same electronics that some of these other guys are doing, but I said, I know you're and we got to talk, of course, as fishermen, we can relate to each other, and he said, well, first of all, I believe in the bigger graph because you can see more. I said,
Right.
That makes sense. I said, but you know them little humps on the bottom? He said, when these fish go to the bottom, he said, and I said, I can relate to that. And he said, why is that? And I said, well, I was up here at the Wichita River, and I was fishing. My partner, and I seen this little bitty hump on the bottom. And I said, there's one. He said, that's a dang stump. I said, well, I think that stump's moving a little bit. So I dropped down in there, dropped plumb out of sight with my jig, was in the mud. I know it was in the bottom. And when I raised that thing back up and popped it one time just above him, it looked like the whole earth moved underneath that lake. And he swallowed that hook. And then that's when he told me, he said, I can relate to that real fast. And
Right.
because just like, they's probably on the bottom today some, or
Yesterday.
because of the cold.
Yep.
Right.
When it gets cold and you got a shallow, especially a shallow lake that you're fishing,
Right.
them fish go straight down. And these boys that don't realize, they better start throwing at them little humps, because them little humps going to get them a big paycheck.
Yeah, I had a pattern a couple winters ago. It was actually on an old Mississippi River Oxbow Lake. I was over there just fun fishing, and that's where I learned to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Some days you would go over there and the sun would be out and it'd be warm and they would all be up and you could catch
Right.
fish. And then some days you'd go and you wouldn't see any fish suspended, but then if you look down at the bottom, you would see a bunch of stuff just kind of moving around. And so I just started dropping a bait down there, picking this dot, and finally I just kind of figured out, okay, that dot's not a crappie, this dot is a crappie.
Yep, that's
And
right.
I just kind of started targeting it and running with it.
There you
My
go.
old partner used to say it don't cost a quarter more to jerk or to try it out and see what it is.
Hook sets are free.
Hook sets are free.
That-
I caught a lot of drum, a lot of catfish, all that, but I finally figured out that's a crappie sitting on bottom.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That takes us to Tackle Time. Tackle Time is sponsored by PICO Lures. PICO Lures has a complete line of hard and soft baits. So any kind of crappie fishing you're doing, they got it from. They got terminal tackle even if you're just out there dabbing some minnows for them. But you can check them out at picolures.com. Dan, Hayden, if they wanted to check out what you guys are doing and see what tournament you're winning next, where would they go?
Yeah, most all of our stuff right now runs through a Facebook page, Hayden Jeffries Fishing.
Okay.
I'm working on getting a YouTube channel, getting some cool videos coming out. I'm
Right.
playing with TikTok a little bit. I'm trying to get a website set up.
Hey, the pretty original hoodies too, right?
Yep. I'm
Like
working
if you can't see it, it says Hayden Jeffries
Yeah, there you
Fishing. This is the radio part of this show. So, yep.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm trying to get
Okay.
some really cool content out and try and teach the anglers and help other anglers to kind of build on some of the success that we've had.
There you go. And Paul, if they want to be part of, look at here.
Yeah.
This is the big show right
Yeah,
here.
first
Actually
expo,
is.
Yeah. It's our first expo, and I think it turned out really well. We're going to be at Sardis Lake next year, and for the championship, third weekend in March, and we're going to have a big expo there. It's going to be a fun time, but this was great. This has been my dream right here, to do a national championship, have a fishing expo, and I think in the long run, it's going to get guys like Hayden and Beckman and all those boys to get them in the limelight that they need to be in, because this man right here, he could be a Bill Dance or Jimmy Houston or whatever, because the people out there and you folks out there that's listening to this need to get a hold of this guy, because people are watching. He can sell product for you. I told Mancoda a power pole the other day, that new trolling motor. I don't know if you got one yet or not.
I've ran one. I don't have one on the boat.
Oh, baby. That thing, you talk about moving. If you want to move fast,
it'll go.
It'll get you. But
that's right.
But, just get out. But they can go to nationalcrappieleague.com,
Okay.
nationalfishingleague.com.
And that'll give all the information. They want to enter the
They
tournaments.
can sign up there.
Okay.
It's got the Division I tournaments for the working guy. It's got the
Okay.
Open Pro Series. We even got 2 wild cards this year. We're going to do them both fish at the same time. But
Okay.
just trying to do a lot of different things, and I can guarantee you in 25 there will be a couple trolling tournaments.
All right, there you go. There you have it. Hot news right there. The other hot news, Hayden, Dan, win another tournament. But
Congratulations,
Thank you.
fellas.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
They
it
are.
very
They
much
are
for
good.
coming fishing with us.
Yes, sir.
Did a great job.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, that ends our show. Make sure you keep your hook sharp, your lures in the water.